25 Best Rickey Henderson Baseball Cards, one for each year. Rickey Henderson baseball cards have been lighting up the hobby almost from the day he stepped cleat onto the Oakland Coliseum dirt and began blazing the base paths. Even so, in those early days, Rickey was more of a curiosity, a phenomenon maybe, than a true superstar. He went about breaking necks and pitcher-catcher spirits with his unworldly speed and base-running canny. It didn't take too many years, though, for fans and collectors to realize that Henderson was much more than a speed demon. Here we had a guy who could get on base seemingly at will, via a hit, a walk, or taking a pitch off his body. Here we had a guy who could steal any base he wanted, take any risk he wanted on the paths, and come out ahead most of the time, and turn even the calmest of opposing managers into a nervous Nellie Sparky Anderson doppelganger. Here we had a guy who developed amazing power for a top-of-the-order batter and someone who was speed first. In short, here we had a guy who became the greatest leadoff hitter the game has ever seen and a top-tier Hall of Famer. Along the way, Henderson's cards rose in hobby status right along with the man's own star, and collectors today relish the sight of his cardboard featuring one of the game's greatest hot dogs. And there are plenty of them. Rickey played in the majors for 25 years. Indeed, it would be nearly impossible to detail each of his thousands of individual cards in the space of this one video, so instead we're focusing on the best of the best. What follows then are the 25 greatest Rickey Henderson baseball cards of all time, one for each season he played, as chosen by yours truly. My criteria? Card value to some extent, but mostly historical significance in the context of Henderson's career and the hobby, and especially aesthetic appeal. You won't agree with some, maybe most of my choices, but you can't argue with the fact that they're all great. They are, after all, Rickey Henderson baseball cards. Note: prices culled from the PSA Auction Prices Realized tool for the most populous condition of each card, according to the PSA Population Report. 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 482. Even if Rickey did have another rookie card to compare with this one, I'd lay dollars to bat donuts that the 1980 Topps Henderson would take top billing. This card just works visually, with the card accents perfectly complementing Henderson's uniform, and with the sunshine and impending game action just daring you to try to stay away from the ballpark. And of course, this card's legend grew right along with Henderson's own, spiking to new heights every time Rickey pulled off the next amazing feat or toppled the next unbreakable record. Today, this beauty stands as maybe the most important and beloved baseball card of the entire decade, which is saying quite a lot considering how the hobby exploded in the 9 years that followed. Condition PSA 8, value $280 to $310. 1981 Kellogg's Rickey Henderson, number 33. So this is a purely aesthetic play. See, Rickey had cards in all three major sets in 1981, including 2 in the 1981 Flir set, plus an entry in the 1981 Flir Star Sticker issue. Any of them could have landed here, and most are probably more valuable than this one in most situations. But all of those cards, save maybe the Star Sticker entry, are pretty drab, and there is plenty of blurry photography involved. This Kellogg's card, on the other hand, is bright and sunny, and of course three-dimensional. And it's also very evocative of the time, when food entries offered up some much-needed and much-prized variety to the blossoming card market. Condition PSA 8, value $25 to $35. 1982 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 610. This entry gives us our first real cardboard-born glimpse of Henderson doing what made him famous, wreaking havoc on the base paths. And though pink may not be your first color you think of when pondering the Oakland A's or their Man of Steel, the accent works well with the Oakland green, and the card pops with electricity overall. Like other cards on this list, this Rickey is one of the most important in the set it inhabits, and it's a collector favorite. Condition PSA 9, value $65 to $75. 1983 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 180. Yes, there are plenty of Topps cards on this list, but when you're the best, you're the best. Or in the vernacular, when you're the real one, you're the real one, and the best. And it's pretty much impossible to leave this sunny, action-packed Henderson card off any list of great Rickey memorabilia, especially when you consider there's a decent chance this shot captures the moment just after the man with the sneaky power teed off on one of his record 81 leadoff home runs. A stone-cold hobby classic. Condition PSA 9, value $50 to $70. 1984 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 230. Sometimes you blast your way to success, and sometimes you streak, driven by blinding speed and brute power towards your goal. And sometimes, when the situation calls for it, you tiptoe up on your prey. Here on this 1984 Topps card, we get a peek at Rickey in apparent stealth mode, sulking towards another stolen base, or at least towards another hunk of pitcher disruption. It's an unusual shot that makes this one of Rickey's and the 1984's best. Condition PSA 9, value $20 to $30. 1985 Flir Rickey Henderson, number 425. You want to know what long-distance intimidation looks like from the catcher's point of view? Well then, you probably won't ever find a more perfect embodiment of what must be a mostly helpless feeling than the 1985 Flir Rickey Henderson unleashed on the hobby. Here you have Rickey, dead centered in the frame, crouched and ready to run, eyes searching the pitcher for any sign of weakness. It was doom personified if you were the guy behind the plate. Flir topped it all off with an underrated design featuring classy gray borders and a fetching team-colored inner border that made the whole thing pop. As an added bonus, this would be Rickey's last base Flir card as a member of the A's for a while. Condition PSA 9, value $35 to $40. 1986 Flir All-Star Rickey Henderson, number 7. This is not the most beautiful Rickey Henderson card ever issued, and it's not the most action-packed either. Heck, this photo is at best the stop where you are at practice field candid, and at worst, a posed moment. But this just might be the flashiest Henderson card, or at least certainly right up there among his 1986 entries. It's also one of the first to show Rickey as a member of the New York Yankees, and it also has a built-in scarcity factor. The 12-card All-Star inserts were included only in wax and cello packs, and then only randomly so. Heck, it even exists in a Rickey era version. Talk about 80s appropriate. As of this video in late April 2022, only about 50 of the two Henderson varieties combined have been graded by PSA, leaving it decidedly on the low side, supply-wise, of junk wax consideration. Condition PSA 9, value $15 to $20. 1987 Rickey Henderson, number 735. Rickey in pinstripes, in the sunshine, in front of a crowd with the classic Yankees top hat logo, all wrapped up in wood borders. Yeah, this card is electric, iconic, fantastic, and any other ick adjective that you'd like to throw in there. The other 1987s can't hold a candle. Condition PSA 10, value $60 to $70. 1988 Score Rickey Henderson, number 13. By 1988, we were firmly in junk wax territory, so any latent big dollar values have developed through late discovery errors and variations, or condition scarcities. None of that really applies to Rickey's 88 cards, though. We're left with pure aesthetics. From that standpoint, the 1988 Topps design is the winner, and Henderson's Real One card is not bad. Also worth a look is Rickey's entry into the 1988 Flir set, which has a fairly ridiculous design, but an on-front Yankee version of the stealthy Henderson sneak that we saw on his 1984 Topps card. The winner here, though, is the 1988 Score Rickey card, his base card in Score's very first set. Sure, Score cards didn't have much character in general, but they did give us full-color photos on front and back of the cards, as well as some of the initiatives that Upper Deck supposedly introduced the next year. Beyond my soapbox, though, this Henderson card is quite striking. Here we have a close-up of Rickey's crouching strike zone, with a sunset tailwind that splashes nostalgia off the backside of his Yankees helmet and pinstripes. The purple border only adds to the evening shade effect, leaving the card with a statuesque, almost majestic overall feel. Condition PSA 10, value $20 to $30. 1989 Topps traded Rickey Henderson, number 48T. Henderson spent 4 glorious seasons in the Bronx after the A's traded him to the Yankees in December of 1984. But with the New York Yankees going nowhere fast and Oakland trying to win another division title, the teams unswapped in June 1989. Henderson back to the A's, Eric Plunk back to the Yankees, with other dudes filling out both sides. Rickey fit right in with the Bash Brothers and turned in a superstar second half to help the A's win the American League West before nabbing ALCS MVP honors for his 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, and 0 caught stealings, 8 runs scored, and a ridiculous 1.609 OPS in 5 games against the Toronto Blue Jays. It was more of the same in the World Series as Oakland swept to victory over the Giants. Then Henderson set his sights on the all-time marks in front of him, but not before a cardboard homecoming that fall. Though Rickey appeared with the Yankees on his base 1989 set, it was back to the Oakland Sunshine on his 1989 Topps Traded card. A blazing entry that even features the Athletics elephant on Henderson's left sleeve. If this card doesn't warm your hobby cockles, it may be time for you to take up raisin collecting or tuna can art. Condition PSA 9, value $90 to $100. 1989 Leaf Rickey Henderson, number 160. Taken as a whole, 1990 baseball cards are more like a hole. A black hole of overproduction, or hideous designs, uninspired photography. It's just yuck. Against this backdrop, Henderson did show up on several cards that were at least okay. Upper Deck always looked good in those days. His score photo was pretty good, even bordering on exciting. But absent a truly compelling entry elsewhere, we're crowning the 1990 Leaf Henderson here by virtue of a classic batting pose, an understated but classy card design, and an issue, 1990 Leaf, that helped propel us into an era of super premium baseball cards, for better or for worse. Condition PSA 10, value $40 to $50. 1991 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 670. Pretty much the same stuff I said about 1990 card market applies to the 1991 scene too, but Topps did sort of step up their game to celebrate the 40th anniversary of their first baseball card issue. Gone were the gaudy colored borders that I've grown to appreciate, replaced by simple, uncluttered, Upper Deck-esque design that emphasized improved photography. And on some cards, as on this Rickey, we got the landscape baseball card for the first time since 1974. In this particular case, we got the impending all-time stolen base leader sliding headfirst into home plate. This is an easy winner. Condition PSA 10, value $40 to $60. 1992 Upper Deck, Rickey Henderson, Grand Theft, number 782. Truth be told, baseball cards were getting pretty sophisticated by 1992. Flir and Donruss both made dramatic improvements in their base brands, and even though those changes may seem dated today, they raised the entire market 30 years ago. And really, pretty much everything that came out that year and in the years that followed looked pretty good. All of which is to say there are a ton of solid Rickey Henderson cards to choose from for this slot, so take your pick. As for my pick, I'm going with something slightly out of the ordinary, the Upper Deck Grand Theft card that both celebrates Henderson's 1,000 stolen bases, nabbed on May 1st, 1992, and gives us a shot of Vernon Wells' stellar artwork. That's Vernon Wells Sr., in case you were wondering, whose son turned out to be a pretty darn good ball player in his own right. Condition PSA 10, value $20 to $30. 1993 Flir, Rickey Henderson, number 260. By 1983, there were more baseball card brands than you could shake a street ball stick at, and if you couldn't find something to your liking, you just weren't trying very hard. Even among the onslaught of cardboard overwhelmed, though, 1993 Flir looked different. It was almost all photo, for one, and it was almost all two photos, for two. For Henderson, that manifests in a dramatic bat follow-through in the foreground, with a pensive, larger-than-life Rickey looming over the scene and the base paths in the background. Not a super valuable card by any means, but still a visual stunner. Condition PSA 10, value $40 to $50. 1994 Flir Ultra, Rickey Henderson, number 408. The market didn't slow down at all in terms of introducing and proliferating more brands in 1994, even as the strike loomed on the horizon. One of those many titles was Flir Ultra, and it's as good a choice here as any, and maybe better than most. Featuring mostly photo, this one gives us the blazing Henderson speed and a blazing white A's uniform against the eternal green of the baseball diamond. Perfect, or decent approximation. Condition PSA 10, value $10 to $20. 1995 Upper Deck, Rickey Henderson, number 30. By the time the first 1995 baseball cards found their way to the market, the diamond world was still marred in the dreaded player strike. The hobby was starting to feel the crunch too, as apathy toward the messy business side of the game trickled over to our cardboard coffers, at least to some degree. Against that background, the many issues being foisted upon collectors found the demand harder than ever to generate, and some sets hardly got any attention at all. There were also the sameness developing among all the excellence. Funny how that works, huh? The 1995 Upper Deck Henderson card was a bit different, though, showing a high-flying Rickey leapfrogging a maybe Tigers catcher, Trad Cruder maybe, on the way to the plate. Nothing special from the value standpoint, but still an interesting and worthy visual. Condition PSA 10, value $5 to $10. 1996 Flir Ultra, Call to the Hall, Rickey Henderson, number 4. Henderson became a free agent after the 1995 season, and he took his still considerable talents to San Diego. At 37, Rickey wasn't quite what he had been 10 years earlier, but he still played a full season, stole 37 bases, and scored 110 runs to help the Padres win the National League West in 1996. Like most other big names of the day, Henderson was featured in about 1,000 sets that summer, but not all of many of them showed him as the Padres. This nifty card, one of 10 celebrating Flir's design, future Hall of Famers does. Featuring the artwork of Jay Foreman, these cards were inserted in one per hobby or retail box, and Rickey's card is absolutely regal. Condition PSA 10, value $5 to $10. 1997 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 96. Henderson played 148 games with the Padres in 1996 and 88 in 1997 before a trade sent him to the Angels. Among those 1996 contests, he appeared 6 times in Wrigley Field against the Cubs, including 2 to open the season. Considering that April weather in Chicago is not balmy, generally speaking, and Rickey is wearing short sleeves, and so are the fans behind him in this shot, you gotta think a 4-game set in June of 1996 is more likely the matchup here. Either way, this card represents one of just 19 total games Henderson played at Wrigley Field. He came back to the National League a couple of times before all was said and done, and the old ballpark is showing some of its finest brick-encrusted ambiance. Condition PSA 10, value $50 to $55. 1989 Flir Sports Illustrated, Road to Cooperstown, Rickey Henderson, number 5. Rickey's stay with the Angels lasted all of 32 games in 1997, so there aren't all that many different Halo Henderson cards running around out there. But Flir teamed up with Sports Illustrated to produce 3 SI-branded sets in 1998, the second then dubbed Then and Now. Released in April, Then and Now came 6 per pack, 24 packs per box, and an MSRP of $1.99 per pack. And seated 1 per box was a special 10-card insert set celebrating players that Flir and SI thought were headed to the Hall of Fame. Road to Cooperstown was the insert set. At number 5 in the run, it was Rickey Henderson in his Los Angeles uniform. Like most other cards of the era, those don't exactly break the bank today, but they still provide a stunning look at some of the all-time greats, 80% of whom actually have made it to the Hall of Fame cut. Henderson, Ken Griffey Jr., Tony Gwynn, Greg Maddux, Paul Molitor, Mike Piazza, Cal Ripken Jr., and Frank Thomas. The outsiders, their names rang with Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Condition PSA 9, value $15 to $20. 1999 Topps Rickey Henderson, number 277. Given how noisy both of them are, it's actually pretty surprising that Henderson and the Mets didn't find each other until 1999. But even though Henderson didn't appear in a Mets uniform until spring training that year, Topps had reduced their turnaround time enough by this point to catch him shagging balls in his New York Mets warm-up in their base set. A good solid card of a baseball legend focusing on the aspect of his game, defense, that wasn't his forte and didn't garnish him much attention. Condition PSA 10, value $50 to $60. 2000 Flir Tradition, Rickey Henderson, number 390. This card may scream 1954 Topps, but it was Flir who dusted off the classic design, tweaked it a bit, and usurped it in its own gain in their 2000 Tradition line. Heck, the 504 card set even features brown cardstock and backs, like Topps issued in the past. Copycat concerns aside, this was a fun and striking set, and Henderson looks right at home with a classic intertwined New York on his cap, against a bright yellow background. Condition PSA 10, value $50 to $60. 2001 Donruss, Rickey Henderson, number 21. Henderson only lasted through part of May with the 2000 Mets before they released him. The Mariners signed him 6 days later, though, and he stayed in Seattle the rest of the season. But Rickey became a free agent again at the end of the season, and he lingered on the shelf until the Padres brought him back to San Diego in March. Later that spring, this 2001 Donruss card captured most of that journey, doing it with typical old-school Donruss flair. Dark borders, accented with stars, a Hickey font or two, Art Deco shapes, including around the Donruss logo. It's also one of the last Big D issues to show team names and logos before their Major League Baseball license evaporated. All in all, a nice-looking, if loud card that fits Henderson well. Condition PSA 10, value $5 to $10. 2002 Donruss Originals, Rickey Henderson, number 379. Henderson appeared in a Yankees uniform in the original 1988 Donruss set. Fast forward 14 years, and he made his way all the way back around to the American League East, this time with the arch-rival Boston Red Sox. He also dropped in on the East long enough to win a World Series with the 1993 Blue Jays. At the same time, Donruss was experimenting with retro game, rolling out several of their 1980s designs as part of their 425-card original issue. Henderson had cards all up and down in that lineup and in insert sets, but this one gives us a striking look at a late-career speedster swinging in a Bo Sox home whites in that 1988 Donruss design. And while there is enough original, not originals, in 1988 Donruss roaming around out there in the wild today for every tree on earth to own one, or a few thousand of their own, there's something nostalgic about this Rickey, and it just dares you not to think of Ellis Burke's Rickey card. Condition PSA 10, value $20 to $40. 2003 Topps traded Rickey Henderson, number T73. Henderson became a free agent after the 2002 season, and when no team came calling on opening day of 2003, it looked as if Kryptonite of the time had finally caught up with our Man of Steel. But no. The Dodgers signed Rickey in July of 2003, and Henderson made it to 30 games through September 19. In that contest against the San Francisco Giants, Henderson would come on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning. He was promptly plunked by Jason Christensen. Rickey advanced to second on a sacrifice bunt by Dave Roberts, yes him, and then scored on Sean Green's single with 2 outs after Paul LaDuca had grounded out. Paul Quantrill came in to pitch in the 8th for the Dodgers, replacing Henderson in the lineup. And that was it for Rickey Henderson on the big league diamond. A couple of months later, Topps captured Rickey in blue and wrapped heavily in more blue in their 2003 traded issue. It's a great-looking card that took on even more significance when Rickey finally announced his retirement in December of 2005. Condition PSA 8, value $15 to $20. 2004 Upper Deck, Rickey Henderson, number 188. Henderson's continued dalliance with a return in 2004 or later introduced enough uncertainty that he landed on some cards in 2004, the year after his last game. This Upper Deck entry shows Rickey once again using his base running skills to taunt some poor pitcher and catcher combo, and the back gives us his full career stats. This may not be a super valuable card, but it's hard to sneeze at an action-packed career capper of an all-tier, all-time great. Condition PSA 10, value $25 to $50. WaxPackGods.com